Hi, ladies. So in this module, we're going to be discussing things to look out for that would be red flags in your nutrition and fitness journey. Now, it is common for females to believe that losing their period during heavy periods of training is normal, but it's actually not true. We're not actually meant to lose our menstrual cycle. It is there to help us stay regulated, to stay balanced. And if we lose it, that's actually a big red flag. So I've actually worked with clients previously who have come to me where they've done like fitness challenges and stuff, and their calories have been super low, and their training output has been super high, and they've lost their menstrual cycle, chronic fatigue, and all these sort of things. These sort of things should not be happening, right? And if they do, that's when you need to start to go, okay, maybe nutrition needs to be increased and my training output needs to be decreased. So what this is essentially called is functional hypothalamic amenorrhea. So this is where the cycle is inconsistent for 45 days or, up to 3 months or more. Personally, I think that if you've, lost a menstrual cycle and you're not pregnant, that's even the first one should be a red flag, right? I would start to have a look into how your nutrition and your training is. So this can occur from exercising too much, eating too little, and being under a lot of stress. So even exercising a lot and eating too little can cause a lot of chronic stress on the body. And this can lead to metabolic and hormonal problems, including the hypothalamus releasing too little of the gonadotropin releasing hormone. And this is the condition known as functional hypothalamic amenorrhea. So what can also happen is as well as a decrease of the luteinizing hormone and follicle stimulating hormone and lower estrogen, which means that one, our mood is lower, the way that we can utilize carbohydrates is lower, our body's inability to mature a follicle and egg and for it to be released, to be able to be fertilized or even complete the cycle of ovulation, and also can prevent progesterone also being released. So you guys would have seen this in the stress in our cycle. So this is just something to be important. Now, essentially what the body thinks is that it's not a good time to have a baby, so it stops the process. But these things are super important to know even if you're not trying to be pregnant, because like I mentioned in the previous modules you would have seen, is that our menstrual cycle there is part of being a woman. And when it's not functioning at its best, we are also not functioning at our best. So within that, we're hindering ourselves from living to our full potential when we're not looking after ourselves to its full capacity. So what we essentially call this is called RED-S, which is relative energy deficiency in sport. It was previously known as female athlete triad, but it's also been stretched to show that mindful of the menstrual cycle, these other symptoms can also show up in men. So they've made it now relative energy deficiency in sport. Now, what we essentially have with RED-S and why this is an actual thing that we need to be aware of is that with nutrition and exercise, if we're exercising too much and eating too little, this is where we can start to experience some of these symptoms, which I'll go through very shortly. Now, this can happen from disordered eating. This can be from like miscalculated energy input and output, in terms of nutritional literacy, not understanding, and also disordered eating behaviors. Now, this can affect bone health, menstrual function, endocrine system, so our hormonal system, metabolic processes, growth and development, psychological factors, cardiovascular health, and gastrointestinal health. So some of the things that we can experience as symptoms, and these are things to look out for in your own individual journey, is reduced bone density, so more bone breakages, and also disruption in terms of our menstrual cycle. So, whether it is loss of menstrual cycle or irregular periods or whatever it might be, these are things to look out for. Also, reoccurring infections like chronically sick all the time, or reduced performance, or increased risk of injury. So you're injuring yourself a lot more. Maybe cardiovascular disorders as well, right? So we start to see, disorders within the heart or the heartbeat or any of those sort of things. Cognitive defects as well. So like brain fog, chronic brain fog, and all of these sort of things. Anemia. So within this, with our red blood cells and also iron and all these sort of things, it's really important that we do also take notice of this. Metabolic disorders. So this is where, we can start to see disruptions in terms of how our body utilizes carbohydrates, in terms of energy, chronic fatigue, all those sort of things. So our body can't utilize oxygen as efficiently, like things like that can start to occur. Endocrine disorders, so hormonal disorders such as like thyroid problems or things like that. Depression and eating disorders as well. So this is where we can typically see the restriction binge eating cycle. And, obviously it depends on the context, but sometimes we can see a lot of binge eating happening from restriction because the body is trying so hard to get back to a state of balance. And also gastrointestinal disorders. So within this as well, we can see things such as chronic bloating, IBS, and all those sort of things too. So what should you do if you start to notice these things? One, see a healthcare professional for one. I'd recommend to go and get some blood tests done if you can, but also record your symptoms, all right? Have a look at your training and nutrition. This is why it's important to record your training and nutrition, especially as a female, because if you don't know what's going on and what you're doing, how do you make a change? So it's really important that we do take that data for our own individual journey so we can start to understand ourselves. If these things start to pop up, don't freak out. Just be aware and go, okay, interesting that this is happening. Is there a potential cause that I could identify? If not, of course, where do I seek help from, right? So allied health professionals, your doctor, your GP, but have a look at how much energy you're outputting. So in terms of exercise and your daily energy, and then also have a look at what you're eating and also the nutritional quality as well. So if you have any questions around this, feel free to reach out.